I wanted to share a little story from history, Ed. You know, I said up top, Kansas City superstar Ed Greer is here, and I was going to share a story about another Kansas City guy, briefly a Kansas City guy, more associated with the state of Kansas, but he did get his education in Kansas City. This is Philip C. Smith writing for the National Library of Medicine. John Romulus Brinkley is the guy we're talking about.
Nice.
He was born in 1885 in rural Appalachia in North Carolina and raised in a poor home by his uncle because both of his parents died when he was early. And in 1907, he got interested in medicine, and he created a medicine show with his first wife. So this was where he sold, snake oil, essentially, and went around. During the medicine show, Brinkley learned two key lessons from the experience. One, and tell me if any of this sounds pertinent to today, connecting with an audience by appealing to both their values and their fears. And two, the power of criticizing mainstream doctors as self-interested.
Yeah.
So, just in case you thought we were ever different at any point as a society, this
Fuck
guy...
experts, y'all.
Bingo. So,
All these Faucis and what have you.
I love that when they're like, don't trust doctors. Trust me, another doctor.
One with showmanship.
well, I don't know when this was written, but I suspect it was written in the 90s based on this. It says, this technique worked well in the early 20th century. I'm like, you're not ready for COVID era, motherfucker. So when mainstream medical treatments had a little more scientific support than remedies being hawked at shows like his. And after a brief period on the medicine show circuit, he moved to Chicago and began studying medicine, but ended up having to drop out and run from creditors for several years with his wife. And it was during that itinerant period that he worked briefly with goats in a slaughterhouse.
That's nice.
Where he was fascinated by the animal and their apparent immunity to human diseases.
Just coughing in their faces before he cuts their heads off.
Yeah.
Well, that's not where my mind went.
Speaking of which,
this fucking thing won't get syphilis. What I do?
This thing loves when I sex it.
When I sex it.
so deeming his first wife unfit for a life on the run from creditors, he separated from her and married a second woman named Minnie Talitha, but did not bother getting divorced from the first wife. So now he's married to two women, and he's really fascinated by goats. And eventually, he makes his way to Kansas City, where he goes to a notorious diploma mill called Eclectic Medical College of Kansas City.
Well, that's where I graduated. I don't know why we're disparaging my alma mater.
EMCKC?
Yeah, EMCKC. Also, how about my medical college not be eclectic? Let's just focus on one thing, please.
Right.
Isn't there a Simpsons joke? What's the doctor in the Simpsons?
Oh, Dr. Nick?
Dr. Nick's upstairs medical school.
Yes. Yeah.
Someone goes to get their license there.
Right. Well, it's like Saul Goodman went to like the American University of Samoa. You know, like it's a completely made up thing. So, yeah, he gets his fake degree from there. And after getting the fake degree, he soon arrived in Milford, Kansas in 1917 after answering a newspaper ad from the town seeking a family physician for that rural community. And he was hired and began practicing as the town doctor. So they're just like open call, anybody that's got a medical degree. And he's like, I got one. And
Hey, that's like how those little towns would be like, hey, are you a headliner? And then everybody goes, "Oh, yeah, of course I am."
I have multiple hours.
absolutely.
of utter gibberish that no one laughs at. But I got hours of it, though.
Hey, Seattle, come see me on May 11th. But
Expert plug.
hell yeah.
Killing on the segues today.
I'm telling you.
Hey.
I'm on the roller coaster. And there's,
look.
He's on them performance enhancers.
he's got that cheddar soup going through.
I asked Rivers what he does when he gets drunk, and he says he gets boastful.
That's
And
right.
that's what's happening.
Absolutely. So after he arrives, this is during the Spanish flu outbreak, and apparently he was pretty competent at administering care for that, but also he had his practice sort of veer in a strange direction. And that's when he was consulted by an elderly farmer who was having trouble fathering a child. And having earlier perceived goats as a wellspring of health and virility, Brinkley offered a unique solution.
Goat boy.
Would that it were so simple. He would implant the testes of a goat into a man's balls surgically as a means of restoring his vitality.
Wow.
So the OG Viagra right into. So he takes the goat's balls out and puts it
on top of his man
on
balls?
top. So he just is like, basically his theory is he's like,
Is a nutsack hanging off of a nutsack? Or?
no, it goes. He takes the nuts out of the goat's balls, opens up your ball sack, and just sticks them in there and sews it back up shut.
Owie.
And his concept is that the human tissue will absorb the goat tissue, and you'll be able to father a child well into your dotage.
Come again.
Yeah. This
You're gonna
is the.
come, goat come.
This
You're
is
gonna
the-
come.
Yeah. Well, you know, goats come in quarts. We all know that. Everyone knows that.
Every time I come, I produce a quart.
you produce a quart.
The farmer was apparently thrilled with the results of the operation for reasons not specified.
I ain't never had balls this big, Doc.
All my prayers have been answered. He must have had a ton of excess ball skin. Like you can make the bat thing. Like
They fucking say that when you get a boner pill, half of it's just mental. You know,
Yeah.
you just the idea that you can get a boner.
You're like,
in your
I'm
head
fixed
is like,
now.
yeah, exactly, and that's what happened with this guy. I'm thinking,
Yeah.
So, news of the miraculous treatment traveled fast through Milford, generating a second patient, William Stitsworth, who requested not just that the goat gland operation be performed on himself, but also putting goat ovaries into his wife.
all right, pretty scary stuff.
And when people are like, why should I trust doctors? Because coming up with your own ideas is bad. You shouldn't come up with your own medical procedures. You should consult a doctor, and a real one.
Well, wait till you hear this. Within a year, William Stitsworth and his wife birthed a son fittingly named Billy.
Oh wow!
I see what you did there, Stitsworth.
Brinkley performed this operation on several more patients, reportedly to unanimous positive reviews. And at the height of his practice in Milford, he charged $750, which is about $10,000 in today's money, for each xenotransplantation surgery, is what he called it.
Are we reading like tabloids from the fucking 20s right now? Because this doesn't seem like it can be real at all. It seems like this would kill people.
Yeah, well, so basically what was going on was anytime there was some complication with it, sexual dysfunction was just never discussed in any way ever. So there's not a whole lot of reports of people like getting this infection. They would just go to another doctor and be like, get it out of me, essentially, and then just never tell anyone. Because they didn't want to know, they didn't want them to know they were, infertile or whatever. And no, very much not. This is a real guy, and this happened
Jesus
a lot
Christ.
because he's about to become very important in other avenues here. But
He didn't just put goat balls on people.
We wouldn't be talking about it right now. It's just a balls thing.
but yeah, there's a picture that was in the newspaper. That's him and,
God,
and
look
Billy.
at what in the Indiana Jones villain.
He looks like he just opened the ark. Yeah. But yeah, so
Baby boy. Sorry. I was trying to find somewhere to fit that in there. Just like they tried to find somewhere to fit those goat balls on top of that. Real man balls.
Hey, he wouldn't have no problem with my sack.
I'll tell you what, I'm all sack.
Sack over here.
Like a fucking marsupial over here.
Shoot.
So, in response to early successes, Brinkley hired an advertising consultant to disseminate information on his procedure to newspapers around the country. And the story caught the attention of a number of prominent men, including J.J. Tobias, the chancellor of University of Chicago Law School, who traveled to Milford for Brinkley's procedure. So, the head of Chicago's law school is like, yeah, cut him open. And so he reports that everything went well. And then he said, this is his quote: "I was played out. I was an old man, but I went to Milford. I underwent Dr. Brinkley's operation. 4 days later, the headaches disappeared. And 7 days later, I left the hospital feeling 25 years younger. And I seem to grow younger every day." Wow. So this is an academic leaving this guy's fucking crazy practice and being like, yes, the freakish thing he did to me
This is
great.
like an academic you see on Aliens.
Yes,
though.
yeah, well-
it's not like an academic where you fucking trust him.
That's the thing. He's from the law school. So it's like you don't know anything about physiology. Also intrigued by Brinkley's treatment was Harry Chandler, owner of both the Los Angeles Times and that city's first radio station, KHJ. So the founder of the LA Times, this is fucked. He invited Brinkley to LA to operate on one of his editors. So he didn't want to do it himself, but he was like, yeah, fix my guy's dick. You fix my guy's dick, I'm going to write a positive write-up. he did indeed. He expressed his gratitude by extolling the virtue of the operation in print, and the rave reviews brought Brinkley a torrent of new patients, notoriety, and money, which enabled him to build his own hospital in Milford. In 1922...
I'd like humongous nuts, too.
Yeah. So he gets massively popular because in 1922, he published a book devoted to his procedure in which he claimed that today I am able to announce to the world without mincing words that the right method has been found. I am daily transplanting animal glands into human bodies, and that these transplanted glands continue to function as live tissue in the human body. So that's his theory, is that he's sewing it in there and your body's just like, ooh, great.
So let's see. Generation born around the 20s that are half coat.
Yeah. Yeah, someone listening, your granddad did this almost unquestionably. So his California trip also introduced him to the radio. As we mentioned, Harry Chandler had the first radio station, and then when he went back to Kansas, he founded his own radio station, KFKB, which quickly became the most popular station in America owing to his programming. So this guy is now, he started with goat balls. Now he's becoming a radio pioneer.
Yeah, everyone's got to start somewhere.
I love this list. The station featured a mixture of country music, comedy, poetry reading, French lessons, astrological forecast, storytelling, Hawaiian songs, market news, weather reports,
Screaming,
military bands, orchestras,
Silence. Headaches.
and gospel preaching. So you could almost say this is the everything app.
I now understand why there's genre-specific radio stations.
Right, because this would be fucking crazy to listen to.
I mean, if it was like, I would listen to it. Maybe you want to turn on some French lessons in the car.
Yeah. So rural folk were attracted to the station for its variety programming, but also for the twice daily medical talks hosted by Brinkley himself, and they were called the Medical Question Box, in which he discussed health issues and promoted his hospitals and procedures. He variously cajoled, shamed, and appealed to men's egos and to their desire to be more sexually potent. So this is now a bro podcast.
Tired of jizzing like a girl?
This is a Blue Chew ad. Yeah. This is a Blue Chew ad on Joe Rogan now.
You want thick, gloopy jizz?
This was also the first time anyone in America had ever heard sex discussed in any way on the radio.
Oh,
so it's also Loveline.
Jacking off to this
Yeah,
shit.
yeah, because no one's ever said any of this shit on the air, and he's just being probably very clinical about it, but people are like, more, Brinkley, more.
Yeah. They were just thirsty for knowledge, Slam.
Yeah.
It's true.
The radio program brought thousands of listeners to his hospital, and at this point he started traveling the world in search of honorary degrees from various universities, and he actually got a bunch, although the American Medical Association, which is now coming down on his shit pretty hard at this point, they called Mussolini himself, and Mussolini took back his degree that he got when he stopped at a university in Italy.
Oh, Mussolini.
So that's this guy. Mussolini is like, not so fast.
Would this guy's crimes never cease?
Yeah. When Mussolini's like, oh, actually, I want that degree back. You seem kind of fucked.
What if you're listening to the erotica, aka medical science sex part, and someone walks in and they're like, what are you doing? Or do you try to be like, I was trying to listen to the French lessons?
Like, is it 3 or is it 2? I don't recall.
So he never stops promoting like flim flam snake oil medicine, and he starts talking about his fake medicines and encourages his listeners to self-diagnose and self-treat their illnesses.
Good thing that behavior didn't come back a
It's
century
crazy
later.
reading this now. You're just like, oh my fucking God, it's RFK, it's Joe Rogan, it's ivermectin.
It's WebMD.
It's WebMD.
It's every single person using WebMD to diagnose anything.
So mainstream medicine, as we mentioned, took note and began raising concerns about Brinkley. And as his fame increased, so did the scrutiny of his practice at the time. California tried to arrest Brinkley for practicing medicine without a medical education, but he was friends with the governor of Kansas, who refused to extradite him.
I got friends in low places.
The thunder rolls.
Yeah. Nevertheless, journalists at the Kansas City Star seized on the story of Brinkley's questionable practices and began publishing the experiences of dissatisfied patients. So now
we're getting the truth.
Veneer's starting to crack a little bit. Meanwhile, Morris Fishbane, who is the editor
I
of
don't like my goat nuts.
it turns out
They itch.
They itch like crazy.
it turns out this is fucking horrifying.
It's really bad.
It's bad.
Really bad. I thought it was good, but it's bad.
You ever wake up in your barn eating a goddamn can in the middle of the night? That's what happened to me out of these goat nuts.
These goat nuts got me gone.
I'll eat anything, Doc.
So the editor of the Journal of American Medical Association, his name is Morris Fishbane, and he attacked Brinkley by describing him in an editorial as a charlatan of the rankest sort, whose radio station was being used to victimize people and enrich himself.
Who amongst us hasn't weathered such criticism?
So medical societies in Kansas took up Fishbane's cause and began proceedings to revoke his medical license. He responded with screeds on his radio station that promised to produce 10 happy patients for every unhappy one in the medical societies. So now he's Alex Jones. Now, so they're attacking me, folks.
And he's like, okay, so there are people who got fucked up. I will admit to that, but more people didn't.
Yeah, Sandy Hook did happen, okay? I didn't say that it didn't. He cycles through every single right-wing guy at some point in the story.
The OG, the archetype.
Oh, yeah. So in 1930, he was finally brought before Kansas's Medical Review Board on 11 charges, including misrepresentation of his educational credentials. And he was eventually had his medical license revoked in 1930. Even so, that was not the end of his enterprise, because he still had associates at hospitals that he owned continuing to perform gonad goat surgery. So he got his medical license taken, but it's like, yeah, you got to get all of these doctors I've hired to install goat balls.
Yeah.
So many Kansans trusted him more than the outside journalists, broadcasters, and the medical establishment who were attacking him. So it's like the proof is in the pudding that I'm right. It's like, it means I'm over the target, folks. That's the thing Alex Jones always says. He's like, that's why they're attacking me. I'm over the target. No, you're just a fucking moron. 5 days after the medical board revoked his license, he announced his candidacy for the governor of Kansas.
Hell yeah.
Of course.
He's doing them all. He does every one of them. And at that point, he ran on a platform as a write-in candidate.
It's not just that this guy hasn't been famous in America over and over and over again.
Yeah, no. It's just like 20 versions of it. He contains multitudes. He is Alex Jones. He is Elon Musk. He's Trump. He's a fucking, he's
the American dream.
He's every crypto fucking con man. It's incredible. They're all contained in this one person.
Let me workshop his fucking catchphrase for us. It takes balls to vote for Brinkley.
Lots of them.
Yeah.
Of every kind. So he ran on a platform of fearlessness, independence, and sympathy for the masses, designed to appeal to those disaffected by the Great Depression. His campaign for working men's compensation, child labor amendment, and free health care for the poor, that later got kind of swallowed up by Franklin Roosevelt a couple of years later. So he predates Roosevelt by 2 years, and he's running on this borderline socialist kind of populism or whatever. And he was a write-in candidate, and he came in third, but some historians think he actually won the election because the state attorney general invalidated any write-ins that weren't specifically written J.R. Brinkley. So if you wrote John Brinkley, they didn't count it. And they said that's about 50,000 votes, which would have made him the governor of Kansas if they had counted all the votes they threw out. So they actually did do him dirty. Which is so there's
but they
That's
did
because he's over the target.
he's
man.
over the target and
but they did everyone else clean.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, absolutely. But also, it's like, they scammed me out of the election, folks. The fucking 1930 election is a scam.
So we might be part goat.
I mean, yeah.
Dude, the balls it took for them to fuck me up.
The sheer cojones.
I'm going to inspect myself later.
Yeah.
I'm going to take an extra close look at the sack and see if there's possibly goat in there.
I'm trying to shine some lights through my balls. Right, you got fucking Home Depot. What kind of lumens do I need? Shine through my balls.
Stretch that old bad boy over a flashlight.
Call it a Kaiser blade.
So shortly after losing his medical license, his radio license was also revoked, forcing the station off the air in February of 1931. After losing the radio station, he went to Mexico because he wanted to build a new radio station across the border where the FCC couldn't fuck with him.
Okay, does he still do French lessons?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He starts XER in Villa Cuna across the river from Del Rio, Texas. And he cranks that fucker up to 500,000 watts, which can easily reach over most of North America. Wow. So just for, if you don't know radio stuff, I worked at a college radio station with 3,000 watts, and that was able to be heard in about 6 counties. Now think 500,000 watts.
Wow.
So this was the most powerful commercial radio station in the world, broadcasting from the Texas border just on the inside of Mexico, so the FCC couldn't fuck with them. So all of America can now hear this.
Wow.
I didn't know that was possible.
Oh yeah, on a cold night especially, like if the ionosphere is not vibrating super hot because of the sun, you can hear that shit out, over up to the Rockies.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So they used to call his radio station, by the way, the Border Blaster. So this was heard.
Taco Bell menu item.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can I get a border blaster and a goat balls surprise?
You're gonna order off the dollar menu. So he moves to Del Rio full time and he's practicing in Texas, but then going to Mexico to do his radio shit, which is just across the river. So no big deal. At the height of his success in Del Rio, he was worth $12 million, which is about $223 million today. Jesus. And he had 3 yachts, which is funny because it's like Del Rio is like 4.5 hours from Corpus Christi, which is the nearest coast, where you're just like, why do you need fucking that many yachts? But anyway, he had a 16-cylinder Cadillac, diamond rings, and an estate with giant fountains illuminated with his name and electric lights. So
how very Papa John of him.
Yeah. So you drive into his estate, there's just fountains, and it just says Brinkley in huge lights. So just imagine like the Hollywood sign, but it says Brinkley.
There's a descendant of his that is living high off of this goat ball hog.
Well,
there's got to be a Nepo baby that is benefiting from this.
They eventually get it all,
okay.
as you'll see. But
so he does ruin his family.
Yes.
Score.
So around 1933, he quietly changed his medical focus to the prostate, which he commonly called that troublesome old cockleburr.
Wow.
I love the Dr. Seuss ass way to describe your prostate. So he traded in implanting goat testes for a procedure similar to a vasectomy. And afterwards, he would inject his patients with something he called Formula 1020. And upon further analysis, that was found to just be diluted solution with blue dye. So he would give you a vasectomy. He's like, that'll help your prostate. And then he just shot you up with water, basically.
With liquid ice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's funny.
It better be like shot you up with like WD-40. Yeah, your jizz will come out faster now. You're just going to rifle out of there.
Fast and voluminous.
So after more attacks from Fishbane and the AMA, Brinkley decided to sue for libel, which proved disastrous. In that trial, Fishbane's attorney forced Brinkley to admit that he knew the goat gland operation did not and could not rejuvenate a man by itself, and that advertisements claiming the ability to do so were false. So he actually got cross-examined by a lawyer who knew what he was doing and was like, oh, fuck, I actually have to admit that this is hokum. They went on to say that he's the foremost money-making surgeon in the world because he had sense enough to know the weaknesses of human nature and gall enough to make $1 million out of it.
Wow.
So the jury returned a verdict in favor of Fishbane, and his attorneys appealed. They end up losing that, and the result is immediate and devastating. He got $3 million in damages that he had to pay to Fishbane and the AMA, and his Mexican radio station was soon confiscated by the government. So at some point, Mexico was like, hey, wait, what are they doing? And no, we can't do that. And in 1941, he declared bankruptcy. He got sued again, lost again, and died May 26, 1942, having never been held legally accountable for his actions in spite of amassing a fortune.
Grifted till the end, dude.
Hell yeah, dude. He's buried in Memphis. In 2017, the bronze eagle atop his grave was cut off and stolen, which shout out to whoever did that. His estate, commonly called the Brinkley Mansion, still stands today in Del Rio and has been designated a Texas historic landmark.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
pioneer of radio, like legit pioneer of radio in terms of coming up with variety programming, breaking apparently a lot of like up and coming like country and blues artists. That was another thing that I was reading about where they were just like, yeah, he kind of like played on like Sun House, like a lot of blues musicians for the first time.
Wow.
Because the radio station, it was just about selling people goat balls. So he didn't care what was on it. As long as somebody was there, it's like, whatever. As long as I get to say my shit every day, then who cares what else is on this thing? There we go. But yeah, that's John Brinkley, J.R. Brinkley, Kansas hero.
I I don't know. All the parallels. That was really great, Rivers. All the parallels between that and how people are right now. And it just, it's funny. We're all like comedians, and we're all not supposed to know anything and be stupid and be clowns for everybody. But it's just so funny that the people who want to be funny and the people who want to know shit know what like a fact is. They're just like, oh, okay. See, our trade is to take facts and make them palatable in a funny way, or exaggerate to do a larger satirical truth. But there's people who learn that amorphous truthiness, as it were, is something to play with and make money off.
Powerful.
We're fucking stupid as fuck. We're trying to be Voltaire over here. And this guy's just like, put dog balls in your ass. Do something, you know.
Prey on an insecurity amongst men where it's like, got a weak jizzy stream. Maybe you need to have some dog balls put on your taint or whatever. And then
I'm telling you, he's Andrew Tate, he's Alex Jones, he's Donald Trump, he's Elon Musk. Like he is every single
exploiting men's insecurities will forever fucking make you $1 million.
He's a confident crowd work comedian.
Oh God! Don't diss him like that. I mean, the guy
he at least came up with some shit.
Man.
Boy, what a proud history of grifters we have.
It's crazy, but just reading about a guy who contains multitudes of every flavor of dookie coming from the right wing shitheads at the moment.
And also, it's just like those people exist because even back then, nobody had time to like know stuff. Like you're always busy, you're always doing stuff. Your life is so important to you. Your dumbass kids are important to you. Your education is not important to you because making money is way more important than anybody's education. The only reason why anybody gets an education is to get money. As soon as you get enough education to get money, you stop learning. Period. I don't give a fuck who the fuck you are. So like everybody's been like that forever.
I was say it's kind of coming back to that.
Well, and you notice his platform when he's running for governor is essentially as a class trader, right? Like he's this rich guy who's made all this money as a doctor, and he's just like, no, I want to give money to the working people, which may well have, but at the same time, the only reason he ran for governor is because they took away his fucking radio station. He just wanted to be in the news all the time. Right. So again, that's the Trump thing. It's like, oh, they took away The Apprentice. Fuck you. I'm running for president.
So is the solution for the future let's break down why the Democrats are losers. Is it because the limousine liberal thing finally got over? Like the average dumb shithead American in the Bible Belt thinks that the average liberal, because they have enough time and largesse to think and understand what a fact is, they're the enemy. Right. They sit around and think of all these thoughts, and they're the enemy. So is the solution for the Democrats to start playing country bumpkin? Like, I'm sitting on a bale of hay with a gun on my lap, and I'm just going to tell you about the capital gains tax and how to help those rich bureaucrats in Washington. I think that would work 100% better than...
If the Democrats were like the working class party again, then maybe.
Well, or even faked it. Like, faked it. Like, hey, Kamala, is that a Rolls Royce you got out of? Hell no, that's my Jeep.
That's why Tim Walz worked so well for a couple weeks until they made him stop making fun of Republicans, and then the whole thing fell apart. But like that's the guy you need. Unfortunately, it's just the folksy guy ever.
The populist appeal is so common too, though. You're representing a people who are the large representation of America and being like, you guys have been silenced. I'm going to represent the silenced voices, which is the majority of the people. But if I say that, more people will come out and be like, no one listens to me.
Right. Wait a minute, you didn't like that Negro wizard in Lord of the Rings? You need to get on this train because these guys aren't listening to you, man. Everybody hated that Negro wizard, man.
Even though you are sick and discouraged and feel like that there's no benefit for you and that you have no hope of getting well anymore, you feel encouraged and take heart and realize that if Dr. Brinkley feels encouraged about you, because of Dr. Brinkley's years of experience with thousands of cases that probably are very much like your own, that you should pick up hope and leave immediately and not delay another minute for the Brinkley Hospitals in Little Rock, Arkansas.